Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Account for Old Cars, and you join me today. This is the second to last Sunday in June 2024, and unbelievably, the sun is out. Not only that, it is reasonably hot. We've got temperatures into the 20s today, just about enough for me to apply sunscreen, which is, I think, the first day this year I've had to do that. But we're in Bess, my 1971 Triumph Vitesse Mark II, and Bess and I are heading to Sizewell to a little car show which is right on the coast. I haven't been to this one before, so it'll be quite interesting to see who and what turns up there, but by all accounts it should be a really interesting afternoon. As you can see, we've got the top down. It's as my old school used to have it, shirt sleeve order today. So this brings me on to a small point, which is to do with these driving gloves that you see me wear. I have a different pair in each of the Triumphs, and one or two people have asked me about the gloves. I should just explain, these are not merely an affectation, but the cars have these lovely Motorlita wood rim steering wheels, and they are beautifully smooth, so lovely to the touch, but of course the steering on the Vitesses is not power assisted, and in both cases the cars are wearing slightly wider modern tyres than they would have originally had back in the 60s and early 70s, which does make the steering pretty heavy, particularly on this car where the front suspension has been lowered. So the gloves basically give me extra purchase on the thin wood rim, and although at speed like now you don't really need them, when it comes to manoeuvring it's really useful. The other thing that I also find is that particularly on hot days, the sort of sweat from your hands tends to leave a bit of a residue, not only on the steering wheel but on the gear lever as well. And so the gloves are there just to protect against that. But if you've not tried driving old cars with gloves, maybe give it a go, see what you think. But the important thing is that the palms have some sort of leather, because that, rather than PVC, the leather tends to, I think, give a better grip. It's also useful when you're filling up with petrol and you don't want the sort of the kind of dirt from the petrol pumps to get on your hands and then put that all over your steering wheel. So that's another reason for doing it. I've got a lot of craft stores here from the look of it, so what we'll do, we'll park up and you'll join me in a little while as we have a sort of a tour around the cars. have a quick wander along the line of cars, have a look and see exactly what we've got here, but obviously I'll turn the camera around and yeah, let's see what we can find. So obviously we've got Bess at the end of the road. The little Fiat 126, the owners were just telling me they brought it back from Italy, actually drove it all the way, and it behaved sort of faultlessly on its journey in October. Yeah, it's absolutely delightful. As you can see, it's a car which is so original, and a rare sight, I think, certainly in Suffolk. They were saying that the difficulty in finding good Fiat Cinquecentos means that the value of these 126s is rising dramatically, and they're becoming much more sought after. My own feeling is that the cars are probably better suited to modern traffic than the earlier ones, but yeah, it's absolutely delightful. Let's have a little look, see if we can see the interior. Again, just very, very simply done, but as you can seat 4 people, and you know, good little boot space at the front. And then the next one that we have is this very smart 1980s TR8. 7 with a Rover V8. Yeah. It was a 3.5 litre. It's a 3.5
litre, but it's not an original one. It's a conversion. But because when they built the TR, when they designed the TR7, I should say, it was designed to have a 2 litre and this engine in it.
Right.
But because in '72 the big oil crisis, so when they started manufacturing them, they only built the 2 litre one because nobody wanted, you know,
a big thirsty V8. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the '70s, they actually made an official TR8. They only made about 2,500, most of which went to the States. They made about 15. There's arguments, right-hand drive models.
Yeah.
And they're all prototypes, so they were never put on the market. But it's such an easy conversion.
Because, as you say, the body shell was designed to.
As you can see, it just fits in there. In fact, if you look at the 2 litre, you don't have to.
No, I mean I mean the thing that strikes you is that it's not been shoehorned in, because there's still plenty of space to work on the engine. That's fantastic.
For the sports car of their era, they were quite wide. You know, if you look at all the other cars.
Yeah, well, compared to, you know, as you say, compared to the sort of the narrow chassis Triumphs there, and the you know, the TR6s and exactly, the TRs that came before, but I mean those came from the 1950s, yes, really. So this was a sort of a real leap, not just in terms of styling, but just
it's a modern car,
and it's obviously monocoque. I love the colour scheme and the tartan interior. So she looks very original.
The original colours, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later on, they went to velour and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they do a green, a blue, in the tartan colours. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Somebody's got one on Facebook for 750 quid.
Right.
But it wants completely rebuilding.
I was going to say, you can't get very much for £750 nowadays, can you?
The thing is, I mean, I've put my little note here. There's only 1,300 of them taxed on the road.
Right.
There's 4,200 TR6s,
yeah,
and yet they made more of these than all the other TRs put together by a long way.
I sort of wonder whether the advantage the other TRs had is having a separate chassis meant they were easier to restore and repair. Yeah. Once these had terminal rot, it was kind of game over once the monocoque was gone.
Very good engine, was it?
Yeah.
Well,
they used to have head problems.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did, yeah. And
that's beautiful. Another magnificent car. I wonder if this is an American import. This is a left-hand drive Austin Healey. car you just heard going past is XK140, I think. We're going to have a look at that in a second. So this is a Healy 100, which I think is in some ways prettier than the big 3000, but may also be easier to drive, a lighter car, but beautiful nonetheless. Another V8, the MGB Roadster, and this again will have a similar Rover 3.5 litre engine. Beautiful dashboard.
A friend of mine who had a Dolomite Sprint, he said, before you take it out, he said, take the cover off the...
And it does seem that we're in the V8 section with the TVRs. So this is from about, I think, 1992. And again, another one of the Rover V8 powered cars. Elegant dashboard. And a car that I remember almost as street furniture from the 1990s, the Mark II Golf GTI, with its stablemate, the Beetle, next to it, which made everything possible. A smart looking Ford Capri. Let's have a look at the back of this so we can see. This is, well, it's a 1600, this is a 2 litre S, so yeah, very sought after. For VW fans and van fans, this is fantastic, beautifully executed. And wonderful colour scheme. Sort of mushroom brown or grey. You've got a sort of twin cab almost here. Forward control position steering wheel, and then these wonderful split opening windshields. And then another Mark II Golf GTI. Very nice Daimler Sovereign. This is from about 1976. Wonderful velour upholstery, walnut dashboard, and 3-speed automatic. It looks like a very comfortable place to be, and a great alternative to the XJ6. More modern classic Ford Focus ST, for those of you interested in modern hot hatches. And then again another car from the 1990s, the Skoda Felicia in pickup mode here, with this fabulous rear seat that slides forward to allow for a bigger load bay. A great car. Nissan Sunny. Again, good to see these cars from the 1990s here, which represent a younger following within the classic car movement. I think so many cars from this era were lost to the scrappage scheme a few years ago that we should celebrate the fact that these are survivors and that they're loved by their owners. A bit of Americana here with this Mustang with its menacing stance. This is the 289 according to the badge. Again, 3-speed automatic. And incongruously, next to something from the 1950s, this wonderful Morris Oxford. If you saw my video Gaydon the other week, this where we looked at the Morris Oxford based on this sort of the Morris Minor design, the upscale Disigonis design. This is the sort of later iteration. Let's have a quick look at the interior. And this really shouts 1950s, so bench seat at the front, obviously long seat at the back so you can get 6 people in, and this is facilitated by the column change. What I can't remember is whether these were 3 speeds or 4 speeds. I have a feeling they were 4 forward on these. And then you see a design leap from the 50s to the 60s with the first of the Farina Austins, the A40. And this is the Countryman version, which has the split tailgate. Yeah, very advanced for its time. Looks very smart on its Roestal wheels. Again, simple dashboard, but elegant. And this has got a beautiful interior. In fact, the whole car is absolutely beautiful. Back to the 1990s again in a car that has a special place in my heart, which is the Rover 216, although this one might be the 214. I had one of these about 20 years ago, and they are beautiful cars to drive. A-series engines, sorry, not A-series engines, K-series engines, very sweet revving. Lively performance. I think the 216 had an output of about 110 brake horsepower, but it felt plenty lively enough. And you can see 4 adults in comfort in these cars. They felt very special because of the sort of extras like leather upholstery, a little bit of wood trim, and this sort of high-rise cabriolet hood and tonneau. Yes, a lovely shade of Nightfire red here, and increasingly rare to see these. Yeah, very nice car. So sort of trip to California at this point, and we've got the ubiquitous VW beach buggy. So this one again from about 1972, I think. Built for one purpose only, and that's to have masses of fun. This is a lovely example actually, and I haven't seen one in this sort of condition for a long time. Back on home territory here with the 1500cc last or final iteration of a Triumph Spitfire, a striking shade of green. This is absolutely immaculate, and again you've got 4-speed with overdrive on this car. The 1500 is a long stroke version of the earlier 1300 engines which were found in cars like the Herald and the earlier marks of Spitfire. Yeah, I read somewhere that of all the cars that Giovanni Michelotti designed, the Spitfire was the one he was the proudest of, but I think in fairness he was probably referring to the Mark I, but I think any Spitfire is a good looking car. So next to the Spitfire, another Triumph, so this is a TR6, and this one is the real McCoy. This one has, as you'll see, its fuel injection or PI petrol injection. The architecture of the engine obviously very similar to that of a Vitesse, but this has the longer stroke, hence 2.5 litres rather than 2 litres. Again, lovely dashboard. This car's in beautiful condition too. glorious dark blue knockoff wire wheels, and the wonderful Carmen style bluff rear tail. I'll just come back to the Bess to change the batteries on the camera, and she's joined by a very pretty 1300 Herald, and this again probably a year earlier, so back 1970, and she is lovely. So again, the owners have opted, I think, for 13-inch sports steering wheel here, which rather suits the car. I guess probably easier with this one because the engine means there's less weight on the front axle, but yeah, absolutely lovely. And we'll just bring the camera around. These flags that you see on the Heralds were the Vignali signature, and Vignali worked with Michelotti to style the first of the Heralds, and the flags are sort of an homage to that styling house, which I think is now wholly owned by Ford. But yeah, we'll just have a little look and see what else we've got here. I'm just coming across to have a look at two cars here, and these are both heavily patinated examples, which I think in the past there's been quite a lot of sort of snobbery of car shows, where there's an expectation that only beautifully presented or immaculately painted cars should be allowed to enter. But for me, these cars represent something even more special, and that is a lifetime, a story, and in many cases a story of survival. So this Stag that we see here, which is one of the last ones according to registration, this would be 1974-75, and again you can see it's an automatic, lovely original fascia with the American walnut, but this is running a Rover V8 engine, and in fact actually I've just looked at the top of it. You can probably see this is a Land Rover 4.6 engine, if that's to be believed, and of course by the 1980s, when people had got completely fed up with trying to maintain the Triumph V8s, the transplant for Rover V8s was a popular conversion. I noticed they've had to put a bonnet scoop in to clear the top of the Land Rover engine here, but yeah, I bet this goes like a scalded cat. The other one that I want to show you was again a rare survivor, and this is a Mark III Cortina estate, a car that was so much part of street furniture during the 1970s. Great family cars. When I look at estate cars of this era, it makes me wonder why people don't want estate cars nowadays and instead go for these enormous SUVs. This is actually a very pretty design, and there are a number of details I particularly like, one being obviously the Coke bottle style flanks, but also the boomerang steering wheel that you see on this. But I think this is probably a later version. The early ones, if I remember rightly, the fascia sort of sloped away at the top of the dashboard down to the bottom. But yeah, wonderful to see both of these cars here. And just coming across to this section, we've got what I think is a Model A Ford truck. Yep. or is it? I'm very interested in the coilover front suspension and the number plate here. Yes, this is very interesting. Again, if anyone watching this knows this vehicle or knows its history, please get in touch. And next to this we've got a very pretty convertible Morris 1000 next to the wonderful Rolls-Royce shooting brake, which we've seen in previous videos at different events, and that's a magnificent colour and a beautifully executed restoration. And then the elegant, understated Bentley right next to this Chrysler Saratoga, which appears to be a Canadian car, and tail fins to die for. Great original interior. And just have a look at the instrument binnacle in this one. Fantastic. Big Ford truck. The badge describes this as a camper special. This is a Ford 250 from, I think, about 1970. And next to that, 1912 Model T.
How do you feel about driving on the left then?
And that is fantastic. Again, lovely to see sort of brass era cars here. Something we don't see often in this country is the Chevrolet Corvair station wagon. Rear engine, air cooled, piece of design genius, detested by Ralph Nader, who I think was mistaken in his assessment of these cars, and I think they were so innovative and in a way America's answer to Volkswagen and smaller European imports. Look at the lines of that. Fantastic. We talked about hot hatches earlier. We had a look at the Mark 1 Golf GTIs. We've looked at an XR3, and this is General Motors or Vauxhall's offering in the 1980s. The Astra Mark II GTE, underrated car, nice cars to drive, and their looks were astonishing. I don't think people sort of realise, but these came sort of on the back of the era of the Ford Sierra, with this sort of slippery jelly mould shape. And I didn't have a GTE, but I did have one of the base model Astra Mark IIs as a company car, and it was a very, very practical little car with a hatchback. This is in stunning condition. The only thing I'm not sure is whether it's wearing the original factory wheels. I think those are aftermarkets. Next to it, a car which I have owned one of these, which is a Mark II MX-5. Probably the best of the MX-5 lineup. More powerful engine, 1.8 litre, so I think this is producing 145 brake horsepower. More powerful than the Mark 1 1.6. These cars handle beautifully, and they're probably the greatest fun that you can have for sort of £5,000, I think. A lot of them suddenly seem to disappear from the roads in Britain about 5 years ago. A lot of them sort of rusted out and were not economical to repair, but now seem to have attained classic status in the way the Mark I's did some time ago. A lot of people mourn the fact these don't have the pop-up headlights of the early ones. Sorry, you're okay. So yeah, beautiful car. And then we have a trio of Ford Granadas, and this sort of reminds us of what people in Britain aspired to before the rise of Audi and BMW in the executive car sector of the market. Another rare car, this Renault, not sure whether it's an 18 or not, but it is turbocharged and would be extremely quick. I've been driven in the previous iteration of this car and it was terrifyingly fast, beautifully styled, and this is such a rare survivor. Again, probably one of the rarest cars actually at this show. Great colour scheme, fabulous vehicle, and two doors down we've got a very rare Morris Minor pickup, which is wearing the Victory Car Sales livery, which is a local car dealership here in Leiston. And that's lovely. And then one of my favourite cars of the show, this classic black and white Dolomite Sprint, definitely the equivalent of a BMW 3 Series 32i that Britain became obsessed with in the 1990s. And then something extraordinary. Let's have a look at this.
Imagine racing this.
This is a Stanley Steam car which lives at the Longshot Museum in Leiston. It dates from 1921, and of course steam cars are extraordinarily powerful cars because every stroke of the engine was a power stroke. I'm just going to focus in on the notice board so you can have a look at that. And my understanding is that the museum acquired the car and have put it back together, but it's as original as it's possible to be, virtually untouched since the 1920s, with these big artillery wheels, and we'll just focus in on the mascot. So sort of rather reminds me of Rin Tin Tin. But this is just probably the most special car at the show today. Not many Alfa Romeos here today, but we've got this one, again from the early 2000s, or about 2005. Beautiful design, Pininfarina, and again, a car that I sort of lusted after when I was younger. This wonderful sort of light bar at the back, and then the sort of cockpit with a full array of instruments here, sitting very low in the car. Have a look at the owner's sheet. This one's for sale. So it is a Phase 3 Lusso Spider, and one of the last ones of its type. Very, very nice example. Early Carman gear. Perhaps better known in America, particularly California. We see them occasionally in this country, but this is a wonderful example. Again, patinated, clearly a car that is used and cruised. Simple dashboard, steering wheel with the Wolfsburg Castle crest in it. Very much a 2+2, but from certain angles you can kind of see this sort of almost halfway house between the Volkswagen Beetle and later Porsches. Yeah, fantastic car. And for lovers of Volkswagens, a Scirocco for you. So again, this is about 1992. Giugiaro design, I think. Fantastic looking car, and I think if I'd been given the choice of this or a Mark 1 or Mark 2 GTI, this would certainly have been my choice. So fabulous sort of coupe hatchback, but definitely four-seater. Lovely colour and just a very pure design. Fantastic car. Modern Aston Martin, but let's listen to the Chevelle instead, which is a lot more interesting. Something a little bit special here. So 1990s, a cute Nissan. These Skylines have just become legendary now. Just listen to the TR4A leave off. So this is the four-cylinder 2.2 litre twin carburetor engine. It's going very refined, actually, the sounding in this car. But just watch him go. But back to the Skyline. This is absolutely immaculate. Serious coupe, a great colour, and an exhaust pipe the size of a water butt. And then the land of company cars all over in the 1980s. The Cortina 2-litre GL. You clearly met your sales targets if you were uprated to the 2-litre GL. Base models were sort of lowly 1.6. This is very, very nice car in its bronze metallic livery. You've got a little bit of wood trim, velour seats. Very, very straight car, lovely wheels, and wearing spotlights. I don't know if the spotlights in the grille were aftermarket. I suspect they might have been. The Hella Comets are certainly aftermarket, but yep, you can imagine this charging up and down the M4 with a suit jacket hanging on a hanger in the rear window and an attaché case on the back seat. Happy days. And then we've got this wonderful Honda, again very, very rare, extraordinarily low bonnet line on these cars. And the Prelude, which in this guy's is the 2-litre injected, this had four-wheel steering, which was a sort of fad at the time, but people were very excited about. For some reason it seemed to sort of fade out in popularity, but this is fantastic. And we'll have a look past the Goose in the interior, which looks brand new. Beautifully looked after. Sunroof, pop-up headlights, fantastic visibility in these cars, and yeah, the Prelude was another car that I certainly wanted. This is from about 1988. And then, last but not least, a Cadillac. I have a feeling the person who owns this has shares in Maguire's. The polish on this car is extraordinary. I think if there's an award for immaculate paintwork at this show, this Cadillac absolutely wins it. Look at those tail fins and tail lights. An extraordinary car.
Nice.
4-door coupe with a sort of pillarless design. Big comfortable seats front and back. You can squeeze 6 people in easily. And have a look at this wonderful sort of jukebox style dashboard. Badges. Fantastic. Yeah, today sort of makes me wish that there was a kind of Photoshop for car convoys where one can simply just erase the Ford C-Max that's in front, improve our view